being tough, saying she'll cut the funding to young mothers if they don't return back to school?
Well, there's difference between tough and potentially being nasty. I'm very concerned, the Greens are very concerned about a potential intervention on the relationship between mothers and very small children. And we don't want the state intervening in there in a way which severs that relationship without a choice for mothers. This is a trial, but they had better be very, very careful with it. We Greens will be looking at this proposal very closely because it's got alarm bells ringing. Quite small children over 12 months old being separated from their mothers against the wishes of the mother to fulfil a get tough, everybody's got to work policy has got some inherent dangers, so we'll be looking at this very carefully before it gets any tick of approval from the Greens.
And given that the mothers will be such a young age, does that make it even more difficult for them too?
Well, potentially. You know, it's one thing to believe everybody should pull their weight, but another thing to deny a mother her right through preference to be with small children. And I'm very concerned about that. My Greens colleagues are, and we'll be looking at this very closely because it's got alarm bells ringing.
So at this stage, is it something the Greens support, or are you proposing?
No, we of course wake up to read what's going to be in the budget like everybody else. We're not part of the budget process. No, we haven't been taken into account or consulted in any way. But I can assure you that the government can't take us for granted on this issue because it's right there at the heart of a relationship between mothers and their young children, and the state has got to be very careful about intruding itself there and dictating what that relationship should be.
Do you think this policy could be done better? Is there something you would suggest to improve it?
Well, I'll be interested to hear from the Prime Minister why the policy has come about as it is. What's the need for it? Is it how it's going to benefit mothers with young children and young children who may want to have their mothers with them? So a bit of explaining from the government is required here to justify this particular measure. Getting tough is one thing, but understanding the fundamental relationship and needs between young children and their mothers has to be given priority.
Do you think it's a little bit unfair on mothers, because a lot of them would be relying on this $600?
Look, I think it's potentially very regressive. It's going to allow wealthier people to make choices which poorer people can't make. But it doesn't matter who you are. That relationship between mother and child has got to be given a great deal of care and consideration. And we're not going to throw that overboard with just like that. We'll be looking at it very carefully.